and thank you all for these presentations. So now we can definitely open the floor for questions to all of you on the different presentations. Before doing that, I just wanted to say that now, thanks to all that you presented, we have a better overview of the different models and the different issues that you faced. Generally, I think the comments are really positive from your side, which is a good point. And it's also very useful that all of you have listed some points that you have that we should improve, especially in the documentation. So that's why I've sent you a small chat to the presenters asking you if you can just send us your presentations. Maria already did it, and if the three other presenters could also do it, so that we can maybe try to take opportunity of this to already discuss the different questions today that are in your presentations. And the last point also, we will be in Pisa in 2 weeks' time for the week of the, I think, 19th of February. It will be also a good time in case some of you are there to discuss and to improve what we can regarding porting of your model. So now I don't know if Paolo and Mattia want to continue the discussion, to answer some questions that were raised.
Yeah, thank you, Yanis. Well, I think these were really good presentations and provided us very useful feedbacks. I saw you asked, to share the presentations. I also took some notes. So there are things to improve on the documentation side for sure. We are trying to make it as easy as possible, so it is good to understand where it is not clear and what is needed for a better understanding. In terms of the VLab functionalities themselves, I understand that there are especially the need for these configuration parameters, which is very often used in models, so to support it, and we are going to schedule this for sure in the next major release, as well as for the validation when you add your Git repository. Probably some more explanation of possible failures should be provided. So these are all very good feedbacks. I would like to thank all the presenters with whom we have been in contact in the last weeks. They have been really great, and it was very useful for us to have these audio conferences and these conversations with them. We are trying to improve especially the documentation as much as possible, thanks to their feedbacks. So again, thank you very much. These are my main comments. I don't know if there are questions from other modelers who are participating, if they have questions, if they have comments.
If I could, I did have one question. We were talking about this the other day, where so for these models on the VLab, is there some sort of disclaimer where if the participants or the people that come to the VLab and they see, CNR made this model, Deltares has this one, EPFL made this model, and they start playing with the parameters or changing things within the model, that there's no guarantee that if they change, they make the temperature twice what it should be and say butterflies produce at 3 times the normal rate, that the model is going to make sense.
Yeah, so you're saying, let's say, we will need to tell the users that if they change configuration parameters, the result is is up to them. It's not guaranteed.
Exactly. They made the run themselves, and it's their result. No one can kind of, you know, there's
I
suddenly.
think this is a good suggestion, and we can absolutely add something like that, of course.
Thank you.
If I can ask a point.
Yes.
Yes, I played Me Too to upload a model, and I saw also in the Deltares presentation that there was something that could be similar to a problem, in the sense when you upload a large set of inputs that is not that is given by the user and is not spatial data. Probably more than a URL would be nice to upload a file. I don't know if it would be an option for the to upload a file directly from the user and not from a URL. A staging, basically.
Yes, no, I see your point. That's something that could be done in general. This is, a web infrastructure, and it was developed assuming that data and information is available on the web. But as a client application feature, let's say, we could also think of ingesting from users' local machine. But the reason why this is not there is that the final goal is to integrate this with the Geos platform, where users search for Geos data and ingest the Geos data into the model. So this is why the assumption is that data is available online. But for testing purposes, for example, such as in the porting of the model, it could be useful for sure to upload from local machine, or you could use the CNR FTP. We have just yesterday, so I understand, I have added an example of how to ingest the data from the FTP CNR, and yes, in general, this is a good suggestion. We could think that at least for testing purposes, using files from local machine could be an option.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question? No. So maybe yes, just to mention another point, that the primary target users of this virtual laboratory are the policymakers or their technical staff. But of course, it's great that it's very important that you feel comfortable yourself to upload your models in there. So apart from the suggestions that were made in the different presentations that we will compile and try to address, do you have any other needs or wishes of some functionalities you as modelers to have in the virtual laboratory that were not discussed yet? Okay, so if it's not the case now, don't hesitate to let us know by email or whatever, especially Mattia or myself or Paolo. And same point for the online documentation. So we will compile everything you said today and try to improve it as much as possible. But please, if you see other points missing, don't hesitate to communicate us. Mattia or Paolo, do you have anything else to add?
Well, no, I think, as I said, I have nothing nothing to add at this moment. We collected enough feedbacks. We will have things to work on in the next days.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Actually, sorry. May I ask something?
Yes,
George.
sure.
Yes. Actually, some time ago, we were speaking about the automatic update of the model, for instance, from the GitHub. If we update a new version in GitHub, then the VLab will automatically fetch the code. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If the updated code doesn't work properly, will the system be able to inform the updater that the updated code has a problem?
So you are asking, you port the model. After a while, you update the code on your repository, and you're asking if the system is going to, let's say, send you a notification if something goes wrong, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. This is a good point. Not at the moment, because we don't, regularly check this, but the code is actually fetched when a run is executed. But I think this is a very good suggestion, which we should take into account in next major version. So to, let's say, regularly check that the code on the repository is still, working with VLab, and in case it is done, it does not, we send a notification to the model. This is very good suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Which just to follow up on that, I think it might be so at least in our case, we probably won't update the GitHub version, because if there is a model update and it changes the way the inputs or outputs are required, or a formatting or something like that, then all of the elements that have been written in the VLab porting would change, or some of them might change, and so an update of the model might effectively break the way the model used to run in the VLab, no?
Yes, this is why, again, just yesterday, but we had been asked about, this question. So we have added a dedicated section about model updates. So what you need to do when you update your model, and in order to be sure that it still works in VLab. It depends on what you change, essentially. As you can imagine, if the input set is the same, you don't need to change the input description. But we have listed different cases there, so that you can have a look and understand what you need to change, essentially, if you update the model. It might be from nothing to everything, depending on the changes you do to your model.
Okay. Any other questions? Last questions? So if not, I suggest we close the session here. On our side, as I said, we will compile everything and get back to you when some new steps have been implemented. So we'll communicate about that. Thank you very much to all.